Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Guys, welcome to our class 2. I know it has been a while. Every week we are having just one class. So this is kind of really going to be slow. So on your side, you need to take this very, very seriously and take some extra steps, to make sure that you learn these things. I'm going to teach these things to you, but it will take a long time if you just depend on the one class that we are having every week. So please, guys, put some effort yourself into this and then take these classes very, very seriously. Web designing, web-based system learning, this is not something I can teach. I can teach you. You have learned this. I can only articulate the basic things about it. You only can learn it yourself. I'm going to make as much of video as I can about basic things about the setup, but at the end of the day, you have to watch them, not just watch them. You have to play around and you have to make sure you try them, because if you just watch them, there is no difference. It's even worse than watching a movie, because in movie you get to see what happens, but when you watch a video of a coding, if you don't follow it, you will be lost in a minute. So please practice these things. Now I'm trying to record this thing here in a room near the window. So sorry if you're hearing some vehicles. This microphone is really sensitive. It picks up the noises of people sneezing around. Okay, guys, I hope the audio quality is quite good for you guys. Last class we were here, we were saying we were trying to come up with an example of a small tutorial where we could show this idea of simple layout and CSS3 and HTML type of layout. And what you have already seen from the students that have done already these things on the basic level, very, very basic level, that it was basically about touching a little bit of what the uh, tutorial is about, how you create those CSS, and talking a little bit about how do you apply those tags, CSS tags. And HTML5, we have these new tags called headers, navigation, section, article, footer. There, basically, they are no different from div tags. The difference is they are more descriptive. You just assume like that. And also page header, these are example of CSS IDs which you must already be familiar with. Now many of the students who are already a little bit familiar with the web, they will know that we don't do this kind of separate vanilla coding ourselves. Okay, that is because it takes a long time to style out something. So instead of doing these things, we will actually be using frameworks when we are doing the CSS. As a matter of fact, once you learn these kind of basic things, immediately you realize that it will be not consistent if you try to make your own files. And for most part, most of the developers nowadays are not even using CSS. They use Sass, and Sass will be compiled into a CSS page because it's easier in Sass to create those kind of common layouts and common variables, and easily to insert things around and include them. So that we will not really touch in this course. In this course, we are going to absolutely not touch on the CSS part really that much, because in terms of connecting to the database, retrieving data about the backend logic, that is what this subject is about. And how does things look like? What is the theme? Whether it looks nice, beautiful, ugly. This is not the point of our course. And these things students can easily manipulate with CSS. So you can either stick to a Bootstrap framework. You can use Vue, or if you are, for example, using the Vue.js in order to come up with your own components, it's still fine as long as you have your own styles. That is no problem. But for us, we are not going to touch much on the styles. We will try to, as much as possible, focus on the PHP aspect of the framework. So therefore, whatever you have seen here in the initial page setup is absolutely basics, where I wanted to bring you into this. So many of you have submitted here on the uh, web program in 2020. Oh, the sounds are sometimes really, really bad. So some of the vehicles around here are really creating difficult noises, guys. Sorry about that. Heavy vehicles going on the main road. My house is just in front, near the main road. Okay, we have here the tutorial submission, and you can see here 28 have submitted. Wonderful. This is really, really good. I told you guys, whether you have tried it or not, at least submit it. That way you are acknowledging that I am here in a class, I'm involved, I would like to be involved. If you don't submit, it means I don't really care, I don't want to learn, I don't have time for this. Screw you. Please submit. Just submit. This is your attendance. If you haven't submitted, your attendance is lost. That's what I can say, because if you just come to the classroom and you haven't done any work, what's the point of attending the class? To have an online participation where I just see your name. Okay, that's unacceptable, guys. Remote learning is not going to work the way we work, but for my subjects at least, I'm making videos. So I expect you to do the tutorials and submit them. Okay, so I had gone through some of them and it really looks fabulous. It's nice, and you have done the basic idea of CSS styles and IDs and layout, and also basic pages. I'm sorry, this is not the page. Basic pages where you have menu bars, you have HTML5 text, you have all these other applications. Now this is our own page. You can see here we have our own footer, we have our own header. Yes, Remco vehicle is making noise. Let me close the windows. Really. Sorry, this is remote learning is like this. Anyway, so I hope you don't hear those noises of the vehicles anymore. So we created our own layout here. We create our own setup here. So this is going to be really difficult when it comes to bigger pages, when you have many pages to complete. Okay, so that's the reason why we can't use this kind of frameworks anymore. Now, if you look at here on this page here that I have, you can see this is a basic page made out of our own custom CSS or vanilla CSS, you can say. And the way we create this is we have our own links, we have our own menu bars, we bring our own effects, we put our own border radius, So it's going to be a lot of designing involved, and we have to save the time because web designing is not really about, not really about making it look nice. It's about making it more functional. And customer will appreciate more if he has no bugs rather than looking nice. Of course, people also want to look nice. So that thing can be handled. There are developers out there who are just front-end developers who develop specifically on the front end. But we are not like this because this is a small community. We have to do everything. We should know both back end and the front end, right? Look at this page, this dashboard page. I have created this page not because it looks nice, just because to show you that on CSS, for example, if you use a framework, then it's very easy to bring about the changes and easy to bring about the type of effects you want. So for this course, when we are learning Laravel on the PHP side, we will actually use basic Bootstrap to just bring about the type of layout we want and not touch much on the CSS as well. We don't really care how the button looks like. We don't care how the layout looks like for now. We will only have a common layout and we'll stick to it. So we'll have a small footer, we'll have a small header, we'll have some layout. Okay, the idea is that. So if you look at the way the things are designed in Bootstrap, for example, Bootstrap itself gives us a nice way of designing the components. So it has all these layouts where you can create all sections or articles and also navigation tabs. You can give your own layouts to it. So what happens is they have their own classes like class Jumbotron, classes such as you include this kind of layout designing and dividing the page into several rows and dividing each row into 12 columns, and from that 12 column taking out the number of columns you want, like that. So Bootstrap itself gives you fluid layout for you to control, and we just have to download the Bootstrap file and include them in our CSS, or we can give the CDN link, which means you can give the whole link as it is, as a lengthy link. So that is also fine, but always if you can download the Bootstrap file, keep it here in your file locally, and that makes the pages appear faster. So in a development environment, you should do that. But if there is a lot of changes that has been done on the CDN, then that is beneficial as well to have the CDN. Okay, so I'm trying to talk a little bit faster here because there are many things to cover, and I want you to follow them as well. Now, on the CSS side, for example, what we do is we divide the whole page into a container. So it can be a container or a container fluid. So we basically divide the container into a fluid container. So whatever you have here is a separate section, which is this section that you see here or here up here with the background. You see we haven't done any CSS, we just told it, okay, this section is Jumbotron. So it gave this kind of nice layout here, the layout. But this section we say is a container fluid, so there is no layout, nothing. Is just some kind of padding and invisible layout. So it's just a container, and inside this container we have everything that we have placed here. So all these items appear here on the container. And in the case of Bootstrap frameworks, what you do is you create rows and divide those rows into sections, and the sections are actually columns. So you have to tell how big the columns are. So every row has 12 equal columns, and you will tell how big they are. For example, in this case, you are saying bring your vacation mode. That appears here, bring your vacation mode. So everything here appear on the left side here. This is actually referring to a specific column, and that column is, you can see here, this is how we give the class name in Bootstrap. We are saying that the number of columns taken for this item is 4 columns. So out of 12 columns, we are taking 4 columns. That's like taking 1/3 of the page. So that is like that you can divide, and 4 times 3 is 12. So when you say 4, it takes up 4 column spaces out of 12 and leaves of the rest here. And from the rest, we can see here again we have taken another 4 to put this release your attention, this image, not this image actually, release your attention, this thing. And the way we have done that is by putting this 4 column layout here. Okay, so those are example things you can see already. And again another row with 12 columns taken fully, having 3 columns for the enjoy fishing, eat burgers and chicken. Enjoy fishing, eat burgers and chicken, release. All these things are appearing here. So this appears on the left with a 3 column, and the rest of the column, which is 9 column, has this big image there, which is water slider. You see, this is water slider here. So this takes up the rest of the space. And that image is small because it's placed in a specific size, right? So we have even these kind of things like IMG responsive. If you don't have it, the page will be extra large. So that is an example of why we try to create layouts. And I want you to do yourself your own tutorial on Bootstrap if you're not familiar with it. You don't have to be familiar with it even, because we are not going to study Bootstrap. We are not going to even ask you about Bootstrap. You are just going to learn yourself Bootstrap. And when you want to bring a change here, let's say you want to do some text editing, look at here. For example, these kind of changes. See, everything is uppercase, everything is in a different kind of a uppercase wording, sentencing wording, lowercase. These kind of things can easily be placed in by using other kind of simple effects like text uppercase, paragraph text uppercase, paragraph text capitalized, paragraph text lowercase, not txt, text lowercase. So these are example of things which we will normally do. See, now it's all lowercase, which we will easily can do in CSS using Bootstrap framework. We just have to be familiar with the effect itself. And normally you have a lot of books and pages and PDFs and internet sites where they teach you a lot about how to design a nice navigation panel, how to design a nice table effects using Bootstrap. You just use those kind of same design, because at the end of the day you are using the same class names, the same way of designing, the same way of giving the IDs, so you will be easily be able to master these things. And also on the footer, for example, divide the footer into 3 different size columns, one with 2 columns, 1 column, 3 columns. So you have to decide what is best for you. Out of those 12, we are dividing it equally. So this is smaller, this is biggest, and this is another a little bit bigger than this one. So you have to decide how do you want to design your layout, and you have a lot of control by using Bootstrap as well. So again, I'm rushing here. Don't worry about that. You just make sure that you have tried these kind of examples yourself to become a little bit familiar with the Bootstrap. Now, one of the things you can do is you can have these kind of books. For example, let me see here: cheat sheet, Bootstrap cheat sheet, for example. What this does is, let's say you want to create a button. Okay, look for the button. What can I do? Yeah, buttons can have all these kind of classes. You see, navigation bar toggle. So this part of the navigation. If you want to put a button on the navigation, but I'm looking for a button on the form. Okay, so here button type, button class, button primary, button look like that. Even more, it may have more examples of this. This is referring to model in this case, but let's look for mods here. Look at this. See, buttons. So these are the effects you can do. You can do button default, button primary, button success. And now on the web they even have colors, more visual. So see, there's even more resources here. So these kind of books can help you. For example, I want to do some effects on the text. Yeah. What can I do? So see here, card layout. You just want to create a card, and then it helps you. Did my mouse just got disconnected now? Sorry about that. Okay, that's the idea of having this kind of CSS. So refer to a little bit of Bootstrap example for you to try, and that's going to be what you are going to do today in this tutorial. First of all, you are going to follow your own tutorial to create a small Bootstrap example, and I'm going to send you the tutorial as a separate tutorial like this Bootstrap tutorial, and you follow this example. Of course, it's not going to be this example. Okay, I'll give you a separate example. This one has one example where it creates some kind of a layout, and then goes around and gives you this kind of example where you can create your own layout. That is also something. But what we are going to do is I'm going to give you your own tutorial to do with Bootstrap, downloading the Bootstrap and following the tutorial so that you can come up with a small example of a Bootstrap layout. Now you will have to submit that as a workbook today. And that is just to show you that layout can be generated using frameworks instead of your own CSS. So don't go for your own CSS, go for frameworks that can create that. Because we need a little bit of practice, we have to create something, right? So this example that I have created here, I'm going to ask you to create. You have your own images, your own layout, your own content, but you have to finish up and submit. This is what I did here. Okay, so now just to show you an example. On the CSS we have nothing. See, this CSS we are not using those CSS in the dashboard page. You can see here we are using the Bootstrap. Okay, so in the CSS we have downloaded the Bootstrap, and this appears as the Bootstrap framework. And of course, right now you are only giving the link to Bootstrap CSS, as well as down here you'll have a little bit of JavaScript where you will give the input of your JavaScript pages where you have some Bootstrap bundles that are available for manipulating the page. Okay, for just for simple components that come up. For now, they are not using those things anyway. But still, you have to come up with a design like this. So I will pass the tutorial to you, and that's going to be the tutorial you're going to do as a little bit page that is done in a Bootstrap. Now, the first one you have done in your own way. You created your own page. You haven't used any CSS. You just did your own way without any framework. So that is an example way of trying to learn the web. And then the second tutorial you'll do on the Bootstrap, and you're going to submit it. But tonight we will learn a little bit of Laravel, because we have to start that immediately. And before we do Laravel, we have to do a PHP tutorial as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys your first example. So first example you will do is you're going to do an example on CSS 3 HTML5. This part you have done by reading books. I gave you 5 books, okay, just to read. It's not for exercises, so just to read. So just read that 5. Just read that 5. They are not lengthy, right? Read 5 books I gave. You have to do this first. So randomly, when you have time, last week you have a lot of time, weekend, everything, you must have read them. If you haven't read them, please do. Just go through it, span it a little bit, read a little bit what that it says about HTML5, CS3. Don't practice everything there. Just go through it. That will give you a rough idea of the web, little bit of how it has changed. Now you are going to do the second tutorial, and that is going to be Bootstrap. Okay, so you're going to use a Bootstrap tutorial, and this is going to be your own way, your own time. You're going to follow the tutorial I give you and submit the tutorial that I have uploaded, and do it on Bootstrap and submit this one, your own custom one. Okay, you have to do your own custom one. The page will give you some ideas. You don't have to follow exactly it is. As long as you have those rows and columns and layout, that's going to be fine to bring you into this idea of a little bit of Bootstrap concept. Now, the third thing that we have to do tonight in this class is we have to do a PHP tutorial, because PHP the course has a little bit of coverage of PHP, but I have changed it in a way. We are going to learn Laravel. Through Laravel, we are going to learn PHP. So before we hit Laravel, we are going to learn a little bit of PHP, just to show you that it's no different from any other programming language. It's just the way you do it is going to be different. Okay. And then so this we will do. I will give you a tutorial, I will show example, and then I will give you exercise for you to try. This also you have to submit tonight. Of course, when I say tonight, I mean tomorrow night. Before tomorrow night, I'll keep it open until 2 days. So today and tomorrow, make sure you submit it. And remember what I said. This is your work. If you are passionate, you are going to submit. If not, you are not passionate, there is no way I can convince you remotely to do this exercise. So it's all up to you. And I am telling you guys, so far what I have seen from final year students is pathetic. They don't know any programming language that well. They can't do web that well. Among them, there's only one who are able to code. This is really pathetic. So you guys have time. You guys have time to learn. Among your colleagues, there are people who have learned these frameworks. They are doing very well, and get along with them. Try to go along with them. Those good students, you find them, get along with them, discuss with them, go for coffee with them, discuss, get tutorial and books and assistance. Okay, so now the PHP tutorial is what we are going to do, and you have to do an exercise. The last thing that we will do is we are going to create a Laravel basic layout, not layout, basic installation, sorry. Okay, we will do a lot of basic installation and we will just have a look at the folders, and that's it for that class. We are not going to go deeper into this. So I will show this also in a video guide. Okay, I'll guide you this on a video. You follow the video and finish it as much as possible. You don't have to do any work here. You just have to install. You just install. If Laravel page appears, okay, voila, you're done. So that's what you have to do. Okay guys, so this is what we have to do for this class, and thank you very much for joining. I'm going to end this video here for the bootstrap, and next step will be you do the bootstrap tutorial. After you finish the bootstrap tutorial, then you go and do the PHP tutorial. After you finish PHP tutorial, then you watch the Laravel. So for this case, I remember I made a video, so I have made an initial video for this which you can watch. If you watch from the original video, you may follow that. If there is no video, then I will create a video for each one of these things. Bootstrap also, there will be a video. We just did a video a little bit about Bootstrap. Of course, we didn't detail them out. And once you have the guide on the PDF, you can follow it and do the tutorial. And for the PHP tutorial, I will show you an example and then give you an exercise which you can submit. And for this one, I don't have to show an example. I don't have to show you a separate solution, but I'm going to make a video for you on PHP. And then for the Laravel also, I'm going to make a video for you. You're going to follow it, okay? But your exercise, you have to still do it. Okay, thank you very much. Just watch out for the next video on PHP. So that is it for the second session. In the second session, we have to do these things as well. So remember, it's not just about Bootstrap. But for the first part of the session, we are going to talk about Bootstrap. And you do your tutorial afterwards. And at 8 o'clock, when we meet up, we are going to talk about PHP a little bit, and then you are going to watch the video on PHP, and then you are going to do the exercise. You can finish this exercise and this exercise together, and this also together, no problem. Just make sure you do all these things before tomorrow. You don't have to submit this work. You have to submit this to work. Okay, thank you very much.